Okay, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're live with Shop Talk. I'm Chris Callen, Cycle Source Magazine. I'm going to be your your lightning host. I'm going to be your lightning brother.
Apparently. And I'm Ken Conti. I am the owner of Rise Above Consulting as well as Forever Two Wheels. Yeah. Trying to work on my radio personality.
Ken Conti on drums. Show him a little something, Ken.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so sad. That would be so lame. I'm sitting here. I can't even do two things at once. I'm trying to talk and put this up, like share it on my Facebook page. Oh man.
We are live in the studio. With us again today is the lovely Heather Callen. There she is.
Hi, guys.
Heather is monitoring all the Facebook traffic, so if you guys have some questions and stuff throughout our report of the news or during our half hour with our guest tonight, who is going to be Jeff Holt. This is going to be an exciting show.
It sure is. I'm excited to talk to Jeff. You know, I hadn't talked to him in a while until we went down to Daytona, and him and I had a great conversation, so I'm hoping that that same vibe continues because it was just a lot of real talk.
You know, one of the best things about Jeff, and when we were doing show prep for this, we were actually looking, for additional pictures from him and stuff and going through a bunch of his social media. And as deep into media as Jeff is, one of the best things about his media feed is it never takes a break from his personality. Like he does the work of media and, gets his message out and does the work that he's supposed to do. But all through his media feed, there's constant personality. You can constantly see, even if you never got the chance to meet him, you'd know him by the end of, a half hour looking at his stuff.
Sure. Yeah, you'd know exactly who he was. There's no question about that.
He looks like a super fun guy. I'm not going to lie. Like, I want to go hang out with Jeff, and I'm sorry I don't know his girlfriend's name for a weekend because they look like they're a blast. Just saying. Although I don't know that my liver could handle it because they like Bloody Marys, apparently.
But hey,
Bloody Marys and a lot of Pabst.
By the time you have your own
PBR.
sticker, you're a badass. You got to figure that's a fun cat to be with.
Oh, do you need a sticker, honey?
I do need a sticker.
No, not only that, he had his own cutout, his own.
I know, Flat
cutout.
Jeff.
Right, Flat Jeff.
Flat Jeff.
That was the best shit, man. Not only did he convince the IMS show into doing tortilla awards, where they would literally get pretty girls on stage whipping tortillas at people, like bags full of them, hard as they could. But then on weeks that Jeff couldn't be there, there was a cutout of Jeff on stage, and Jeff Nager would talk to it, and it was the best shit ever.
Pat Jansen would do unmentionable things to it.
Oh, jeez. I can't imagine Pat Jansen doing that. See, I've got his name today.
There you go. The cue cards are working.
Yeah.
So, 2 weeks out from Daytona, I'm finally walking upright again, which is amazing because it's been nothing but agony since I threw my back out in Daytona, doing absolutely nothing fun to earn that. But the season is upon us. Looking out the window, you really wouldn't know it, man, because, here in Pennsylvania, I'm sure I know what it's like in Colorado, but, here in Pennsylvania, we were leaning real hard towards spring. The days were starting to get nice, and then the night before last, it just completely shit snow everywhere. So yeah. I don't know if we're ever going to get a ride in.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm just getting teased. Every morning I wake up, I hear the little birdies chirping, and I'm like, oh, it's spring. And then I look outside, I'm like, oh, it's 25 degrees.
Yeah.
That is not spring.
Yeah.
But we've had a few nice days. Yesterday was actually beautiful. Probably could have ridden a motorcycle. I think I wore shorts. Today it was blustery and cold. So... I'm looking forward to some spring riding. Got to work on my bike a little bit, but I will be having an Indian Roadmaster here, which I will be giving live updates on soon. I think in about a month I should be getting that bike.
Right on.
So I'll do some updates on that bike, do a few videos, all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, I am going to be immediately after this deadline, which we have to turn the magazine in tomorrow. So as soon as the show's over, we're going to hit the books again. But as soon as the deadline's over, I'm headed to Cutting Edge Customs in West Virginia, where we're going to be feverishly working at the Twisted T Tracker. That's the giveaway bike for this year. And hopefully we're going to have enough stuff done that we'll be doing final assembly on that live on stage, and this is one of my big announcements that I should get out for this portion of the show. You guys are goofy as hell today.
Yeah, I know.
So while he goes,
what's the announcement? Let me hear it.
She just took
it's
over.
Like bated. I'm sitting here with bated breath. No, screw that. You can't just take over.
That means we would have to have our poop in a group,
right? And I did. I was so close.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
No,
please continue. So the big announcement, and we'll get back to this a little bit later in the show, is the fact that we will have the full complement of Grease and Gears Garage on hand at Leesburg. First time I'm actually going to be at Leesburg. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Going to have a lot of great stuff going on stage. Plus, like I said, hopefully we're doing final assembly on the Twisted Tea tracker. You can keep track of all that stuff live through Facebook too. So
no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, it's 30 days. I mean, come on. 30 days, but we got a good handle on it. RJ's been down a cutting edge, like putting some time into it already. Just got a ton of great parts from Lowbrow. I got to thank Lowbrow because they're a great source for us for putting all these motorcycles together.
It's funny after what you said today.
I know, right? Here I am giving them.
It's like a little consolation prize. Like a little, hey, here you go.
Bastards! Where's my stuff? How about here's something to bitch about. How many people, and I want to hear about this on Facebook, how many people are fed up with the FedEx guy or the UPS guy?
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Seriously.
Why are you fed up, Heather? Come on, I want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Because, seriously, I have 2 entrances to my house. There's one by the garage, and then if you walk a couple feet down the paved walkway, there's an entrance with a porch, a covered porch.
The proper entry, right?
The proper entry. It's actually the main entry to the house. One would think that in inclement weather, packages, envelopes, things of that such would be left on the covered porch.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Nope.
They leave an envelope in front of the uncovered porch that contains a check for
a lot of money.
A sizable amount of money.
It was one of our advertisers. So to say our business depends on this check coming in.
I just happened, and it's from FedEx. I just happened to have found it when I was shoveling the snow off the walkway. Not in plastic,
dude,
not in
no
anything,
shit.
Just laying in the middle of my
Good stuff.
patio.
Good stuff.
It's awesome. Awesome.
So
FedEx.
So what?
Wait.
What I have. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
The FedEx guy shows up, and I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, do you see this check? Do you see, like, this is where we come from. This is a lot of money. Like, I'm not sure in your neighborhood, but my business kind of depends on this money making it into the bank. So what's the deal? Can we get square on, like checks and stuff, or, things that might be damaged? Can you get them to the front porch? Could you please do that? And he's just...
What'd he say?
He was indifferent. He's like, well, I put a plastic wrapper. I said, well, you obviously didn't on this one. And he did the same shit today with my entire Lowbrow order. I got like $1,000 worth of parts from Lowbrow for this build. It's a giant box. It's pouring rain today. And he's 20 feet away from the front porch that's covered, and he just dumps it right on my step. And I'm like...
I think you need to give that guy like a bottle of JD or something. I think you need to bribe your FedEx guy. I have to give a shout out to my USPS lady, Candy. No, seriously, she's the best.
I love our mail lady. My mother just said use the USPS. My mother retired from the post office after 32 years. So, yes. The USPS is awesome. However, they keep getting more expensive every time I blink my eye. Not going to lie.
And they can't really tell you where your package is. They can tell you in a general vicinity, like, hey, it's not here and it's not there, but we don't really know where it is.
What I don't understand is I'll send a package of magazines to somebody that's ordered them, their back issues or whatever, and I'll get the empty envelope back. They didn't get their magazines. But I got the empty envelope back.
See, and I
can't figure that out.
I want to know why you're not as angry about that as when I leave you the empty candy bar wrappers in the car. So, what else you got today, man? Let's talk about some news.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm looking to you. I'm looking to you, Ken.
You're looking to me?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus. Let's talk about... Let's start on a positive note. Let's start with Harley.
Okay.
And they're trying to get after millennials with... I guess millennials is probably not the right term. A younger crowd, and trying to encourage blue-collar workforce. So this was kind of a local news story about kids from the local tech school being taken over to Harley Davidson, and it's kind of a part of a bigger story of trying to get younger people involved in the trades. I think Chris and I have discussed this, hopefully not on here, but we've talked about it individually for sure, where blue collar, not that cool anymore. For a while there, it was pretty cool to be blue collar. I think Jesse James ushered that in a little bit. Right now, I am not feeling that at all. What do you think?
The blue collar is not that cool anymore.
Yeah.
I think we went through a period, like definitely end of the Gen Xers and, Gen Y. And I think we went through a period where, a lot of that generation in the beginning of the millennials were looking at their parents and their parents' parents and asking the question of why in the hell am I going to work so hard anyway? Because we went through like the housing bubble and all the bullshit, and everybody was losing their 401ks. So I think logic, like more than whether willingness to work or not, really dictated, why am I going to do any of this shit anyway? But something that's strange that started to happen, and we're identifying this through different reports from other industries even, is that the millennials today are starting to move away from technology, and they're looking for more tactile experiences. Things like the trades that Harley Davidson is looking to inspire here with this, this program that they did brought, Bradley Tech High School students to their engine factory in Menominee Falls. And the thing that's unique about this is in the trades, when you're talking about, machine shop trades with lathes and mills and everything else, it's not the same, old time machine shop that your father, your grandfather worked in and stood at a manual machine. This is an opportunity where really technology and manual trades have a crossover point, because there's so much programming. So it's kind of a great entry point for them to come back into the trades and get interest in something.
Watch this segue. You know what that reminds me of? Greasing gears. Because people are getting that experience, and I think that's what's so cool about it is that they might not know how to install a pair of handlebars, let's say, but guess what? They get to watch it.
Yeah, right.
What am I listening to?
I was playing the video from that site.
In some instances, depending on where we're at, we've actually even brought people from the audience up on stage to help make the handlebars. And
that's so cool.
In Cleveland, we were lucky enough to have a guy from Eastwood with us, and he was doing a bit on welding. He brought a kid up from the audience, and in the, I think, 45 minutes they were on stage, he taught this kid who had never welded before how to weld. He gave that young man a skill. And
the great thing was the transformation.
The hell out of it.
The great thing was the transformation. When the kid first came up, Pat Jansen did his whole thing where he says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid was like, I want to go into the military, blah, blah, blah. By the time the show was over, he said, what do you want to be when you grow up? He says, I want to go into the military and I want to be a welder. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That much influence in a 45-minute time period, it's proof that if you take the time to inspire, it's absolutely worth it with this next generation.
On that note, I'd like to throw somebody's name in to get on the show. I don't know how y'all feel, but I think Kevin Bass with his chopper class, he's one that I really think others could learn from, because he gives those kids at such a young age the skills and the knowledge and the drive and desire to go out and work with their hands. Because, not everybody is going to get that, shirt and tie job. Not everybody wants it.
Jesus, she's running things over here now.
Sorry.
I mean, she came on, she was a voice, then she got a camera.
See?
Now she's producing.
Her hair's all did tonight.
No, my hair's not did. This is just...
Did you get your hair did? Did you get your hair did?
This is rain and...
and 70s rock star.
Oh.
But what I think is cool about, what kind of ties all that together and puts a nice bow on it is what we've talked about before with the motorcycle industry and with anything else. If we're inviting young people into it, right, as old farts like we are, right, whether it's on the tech side or whether it's on the riding side or whatever it is, or even on the journalism side, that's where, I don't know about you, but I had a few mentors in my life that definitely had an impact on what I did and how I ended up where I am, and I couldn't really go through the list right now necessarily who those are, but there are people that, there's a guy that I know that I remember that I've written about in the magazine who is definitely a reason why I'm on a motorcycle today, for sure.
Well, and
I think without those people, it's really hard to connect those dots, man. You know what I mean?
No, there's no better gift that you can give yourself, or you can give back to this industry than yourself and your time. And I'll tell you, absolute proof of that, like you said, old farts like us. Well, the generation before us still has a wealth of knowledge to turn over to us. And I want to give a shout out. If you guys can see this, this is a standard micrometer, using machine shop operations. And up until yesterday, I'm sad to admit this in front of God and everyone, but I couldn't read this thing because I had never taken the time. I have digital measuring devices that I use all the time, and it's the lazy man's way, but I had never put the effort in to reading this. And I told Steve Broyles this, and we had Steve on, a few months ago on the show, and Steve had this amazing ability to teach me this piece of equipment with terms that I could understand. Like, rather than get into the whole scientific thing of tenths and thousandths and hundred thousandths, he asked me, he said, can you count money? And I'm like, yeah. And he broke this whole thing down for me. And the reason I bring this up, we're going to be doing a tech article on this, on how to read a micrometer based on a dollar bill, quarters, and pennies. And I'm going to show you exactly what Steve taught me, because in 5 minutes I knew this tool completely. I knew how to take any measurement of anything and move this to my lathe, to my milling machine, or whatever I needed to from that simple explanation. And therein lies the real treasure. If you can find the way to deliver knowledge to somebody in a way that they can most readily digest it, that's a real teacher, so
yep.
I want to give a big prop out to him, because it was entirely
that's
badass.
So great. And I think honestly that should be we should for sure do a YouTube video on that as well. I think that would be so great to just have somebody in his shop, or the next time we're around him or whatever, we can just do that. And I think that'd be a great opportunity to get something up on YouTube that people would easily digest and go, oh yeah, wow, I really learned something there.
And the coolest part was I sent Will Ramsey, because Will's been pestering me forever to learn how to use this thing, and I sent him a message. I said, Will, I got it. I understand all machine shop math now. I said $10 is 1 inch, and that's all I said to him. And he calls me up and he's like, what in the hell are you talking about? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, well, I said, hey man, how many pennies are in $10? And he was like, okay. He said, I get it. 1,000 pennies is $10 is 1 inch. And I mean, that's the way, like the extension of that, how everything works out with the decimal places and everything. But,
sure.
The way that I came to that was understanding a dollar, a quarter, and a penny, and this little piece of equipment right here. So pretty cool. Anyway, it was a big thing for me. It was a big night. So
he was very excited.
You're ever wondering what your national magazine editor is doing the night before?
He's measuring the dog's ear.
Yeah. I'm like, come here. Hey, the dog's ear is 0.075. Isn't that cool shit? I found out that
Heather's like, wow, you found more ways to procrastinate. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, pretty much.
That little tool has just given you other ways to procrastinate.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
I found out that the number 2 pencil is actually a number .266 pencil. They've been lying to us all this time, but that's a whole nother story. Only machine shop guys are laughing right now. So what do we have from social media? We have any comments, any questions?
We have a bunch of people watching. Teach is here. Hey, Teach.
What's up, baby?
We just talked about you.
Yeah, we were just talking about you, Teach. We're going to have you on the show, so be ready.
Teach, I have some inside information, may actually be on hand in Sturgis this year. It's been a few years since we've had them out there, man. Yeah, it'll be awesome.
All right.
Nice, that'd be great.
Derek Mayhew says that's a time clamp. Camel likes your shirt, Ken.
Oh, look at that.
Right?
Thanks, Chris. Or actually, no, that's not true. Not thanks, Chris. Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome. Roy Martin is in the house. Roy's Toys again. Let's see. Mailman, mail lady are all here. Derek also says all he gets in the mails are the bills, and he wished the post office would keep those.
Hey, you know what? We're going to go down. I'm going to go down and do a remote one of these down at Roy's Toys.
Oh, right on. That'd be awesome.
With him and Dickie. I'll go down there one time when we figure out our timing deal, and I'll go down there and do one, and we'll get them on as well. That'll really confuse the crap out of you, Chris.
Right. Oh, listen, I can handle it. That's good stuff. I love both of them, man. That would be awesome.
That would be so cool. Let's see. Billy Grotto is watching, and he said, yes, there's a lot of pressure, Ken.
Thanks, Billy.
And once again, I owe him a phone call.
Yeah. Kip Kotler is here. Hey, Kip, how you doing?
What's up, Kip?
Geez, we got a lot of people. Wesley McLean, Barclay Smashy, excuse me. I always stumble on that one. They're all here. Kurt Baumgartel, Jeff Quilty, Mark Velasquez, Manny Pandia, and Rebecca Cunningham.
Dig it. Hey, Rebecca, listen, back to I was late sending you the stuff that I needed the help with on this very software. Anything you can pass along to me, I'd surely appreciate it. Because she's helping me. I'm looking to implement a few different cameras so that we can take this same production software and move it into Greasy Gear's Garage. So we have the little remote control cameras coming from different parts of the stage and then send it all through this production software to bring it out live, but it's not as easy as
so inside baseball right now. Nobody cares. Everybody just fell asleep.
I used to be the fun guy. I used to be. Remember this, Chris? Let's not bring him back.
Rebecca said she's getting the info and the gear together for you.
Right on. So everybody that's out there listening on Facebook, this thing is powered by your comments and your interaction. So shoot them away if you got stuff that we're talking about. You want to put your 2 cents in.
Yeah, you're sitting there, you're watching, right? Everybody out there, you're watching right now. Hit that little button that says share right below the screen that you're watching. Yep. It's not that hard. And just put it up on your page so other people can enjoy it. You're doing a community service by doing that.
Plus, this is your
spreading the shop talk love.
This is your civic responsibility. This is freedom of the press right here, baby. This is First Amendment shit going on. God damn
it. Your wife just rolled her eyes. Right behind you. It was amazing.
That's
Nobody
awesome.
Else gets.
Hey, listen, speaking of amendment rights, let's talk about this for a minute because this is crazy shit. Tempe cops. Did you hear about this? Tempe cops, motor cops now packing AR-15s. Do you see that picture? On the back of the motorcycle, packing AR-15s on their motorcycles. Latest accessory for Tempe police motorcycles is causing double takes in the Phoenix suburb. Rear-mounted AR-15 rifles. Go ahead and call me Chips again.
Whoa.
But hey,
taking it personally, huh? I can't see the picture, but there we go.
Right.
Whoa, that's pretty intense. They must have some serious gang violence back there.
Well,
or something, right?
Or one too many times someone called him Paunch or whoever the other guy was, because nobody remembers him.
Punchereblo. Punching John. Come on,
John. I know.
Serious?
Come on.
John and Punch.
Everybody remembers John.
Show.
And I always love that Twisted Chopper shirt that I think is out of production now that says motorcycle cops aren't bikers.
Those guys are troublemakers.
Yeah, they are.
I haven't seen them for a while, man. I would love to get them on the show for a while. There's some talk about a wealth of information. Those guys taught me how to measure, rake, and trail, and figure out how to put front ends on bikes, whether they know it or not.
Well, they do now. Hopefully, they're watching.
I still have a sketch that I sent Kai of a bike that I wanted him to build me before I got Jeff Cochran to build my bike. If you saw that sketch now, you'd be like, okay, did a 3-year-old do that? For one. And for two, how much did you like Hank Young's Panhead Flyer, that red bike? Do you remember that Panhead with the Indian front end on it?
Yeah, buddy.
I can't remember what that bike was called, but
I can't
it was
either.
it was like the Panhead Flyer or something. Sick bike, but I mean, this bike was almost identical to it.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway.
Hey, and that's, you know, as long as you give props out for great inspiration. I mean, I've told many people this. The bike that is kind of famous for being with us out on the road is a bike called the Ticket. It's a red metal flake panhead, and the stance of that motorcycle from the very first time that Cole Foster came out with his custom chrome bike. It was a little digger style, you know, chopper, 70s chopper. As soon as I saw it, I was like, listen, man, I said, I love your bike, and I'm just telling you straight up, I'm going home and I'm ripping it off. I said, and that's all due respect. I said, it's so badass that I need a bike that sits just like this. And I mean, it's not exactly the same bike, but I absolutely got the inspiration from him.
Dude, have you seen what he's doing lately?
No.
He's got this Yamaha he's working on. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is so bad. Like, you can't believe that somebody put that much time and energy into a Yamaha. Yeah.
And dude, he's beyond a
we gotta
mind.
have him on. He's got 2 bikes that he's working on right now. Can't remember what the other one is. Maybe it's a Pan. But God, they're so quintessentially like Salinas Boys, Cole Foster.
Yeah.
But they still have like their own mark on them. They're just, I love his bikes.
Okay, so in last week's news, we very briefly went over the fact that Valerie Thompson in the Bub Streamliner number 7 powed up in Australia. I'm not sure we gave that as much drama as is really there. Would she wreck that thing at 345 miles an hour?
343, and the roll cage was rated to 345.
Yeah. Well, we got a video in this week, and this is not for the gore factor of watching this video, but it just the sheer amazement that she walked away from this thing. So let's take a look at the video.
It was one piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Right here. I can only imagine one word that goes through your head right then. Yeah. And I get yelled at for saying it by Mark Velasquez every week. Watch this in slow motion, dude. This is so sick. And like end over end, it barrel rolls. They said that the thing slid for an entire mile. Look right there. It says slid for over a mile before coming to a stop.
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, just the paint mark is just so like eerie on the ground. Ugh. Anyway.
And Dennis, man, you got to give credit to Dennis Manning. Obviously, I'm talking about, and he's the engineer, the mind behind the machine. And you figure because that's like a bazillion-dollar piece of equipment. And instead of being pissed off, he comes on the end of this interview and says, "Thank God we made something that protected the rider." He was.
So unfortunately, for some reason, they can't see it out in Facebook land.
Really?
I'm not sure why, but as soon as this is over, I'll post that video for you guys so you can so you can see it. I'll put it on our Facebook page.
What happened? Did I not put it there? Can they see it now?
I don't know. Can y'all see it now?
Son of a bitch. It's the technology.
I thought it was just me.
Mm.
Nope.
I can't see it. I can see Heather.
That's coming up.
There we go. Okay, here, let me play it real quick. I'm sorry. That was me. That was totally my fault.
Good Help is so hard to find.
And I have to say this. all the time I've been going to Bonneville, and I see the stink that they make in tech about the proper chutes and everything else, and I'm like, who gives a rat's ass about a parachute at over 300 miles an hour? What's it really going to do? But you could really see that parachute controlled that thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, thank God it had a parachute.
Because it would have done it looks like it would have done a whole nother flip, like end over end.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry about the technical glitch there for a minute. That was my stupid fingers that aren't working the buttons right. But
so do you have to have a parachute?
You do. Well, no, not for. It depends on what class you're running.
Okay.
At different speeds, like at 100, 150, 200, it all comes with a different set of rules and a different set of parameters that you got to reach in tech. But for the bike that we're taking to Bonneville, you don't need a parachute. You just need a crazy rider. Yeah, she's still pretty happy about that.
So excited.
Yep.
That's gonna be so much fun. I think I'm gonna go.
Nice.
Yes. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Doug Wolfie's
going,
$1 million mile around the world. Doug will be there. So, and Lowbrow's going to be there, and I think it'll be a good year to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think it's the same weekend as Burning Man too.
I can't do Burning Man and Bonneville on the same weekend. Dude, you're killing me. That would be awesome, though.
I don't know if
One
I
end
could
to the
handle
other.
Burning Man. I'm way too square.
Yeah. I wouldn't say square, baby. I'd say provincial. You're very see. Did you see that look? That's why I put you on the screen. I knew that was coming. I knew I was going to get those eyes.
So here's have I told you my Burning Man story? This is the quintessential 30 seconds of Burning Man. My last morning there, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. There's like this center part called the playa.
The playa.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go walk down there and just check it out one last time. It's like the sun's coming up. I'm like, whatever. So I start walking down there, and kind of in the distance, I see a woman walking towards me, parasol, but completely naked. And I'm like, my lucky day, right? So I just keep walking, and sure enough, it is a woman up to here, and then a giant down below. Like a... Yeah. And I was like...
And I'm assuming that it was morning, so she had a tumultuous glow.
Good morning, and I was just, wow, that was amazing. And that was that.
It's Burning Man, baby. It's Burning Man.
So I need to answer somebody real quick. David Shoup wants to know if we're going to try and do a land speed record 2-up. And the answer is a resounding no. Although Chris already looked at the rule books to see if we could, and they do not allow it. Thank God.
Right, because if it wasn't me and Heather, it was going to be me and somebody else doing it. I'm not another woman, obviously.
Whoa. You and somebody else doing it? What is going on here? This just took a turn.
Easy now, easy.
You were volunteering to ride 2-up for the land speed record, Ken. You and Chris.
I am?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not the pilot on that one, Chris. You can be the pilot. You know what I mean.
What is that? Go ahead, talk amongst yourselves for a minute while I try to get something
You're doing
together.
a show.
I know.
Ken, you must have something relevant.
I'm trying to bring something up
to bring to the table.
What are you trying to bring up?
This new page on Instagram.
No.
I just got to bring it up. It's funny. It's funny shit.
So Heather says no. If Heather says
what's the name of the page?
It's
you
a no.
have to go to Instagram.
It's a no. It's a strong no. I heard a no from Heather. It's a strong no, Chris.
Some people may find it highly offensive.
Some people might find it highly offensive. Get over yourself and have a laugh every once in a while, for Christ's sake.
Time out, Chris. Time out. I'm calling it time out.
Okay, never
Ken,
mind.
I will send you the link.
Chris needs a timeout.
We'll bring it up next time, but what is the name of it? What's the name of it on Instagram? It's like Hipster Proof
That's exactly what it is.
Hipster Proof on Instagram. Look that shit up because I almost pissed myself laughing today.
All right. I'll check it out.
And remember, a culture's intellect is judged on its ability to laugh at itself. So
there you go. Who said that?
I have no idea.
You did.
It sounds pretty good. I would say that it was a man smarter than me.
Yeah. Hey, we should get Jeff on. We're 10 minutes late already.
Oh Jesus. Let's see if I can actually do this successful. Last week it went well. So we're gonna have Jeff Holt on, and he's gonna tell us his whole life story. It's gonna be great, but in short little bits. In short little bits.
Short little bits.
Hello, gentlemen.
Jeff, what's up, buddy? You're on the air with Chris and Ken. How's it going?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Oh, we were having
Super
so much
duper.
fun we forgot what time it was.
That's all right. Time flies.
I found myself perusing this Instagram site today called Hipster Proof. Dude,
Yeah.
go there immediately. It was
Not right
good.
now, Jeff. We need your attention. Don't go there right
Okay.
now.
So what's going on? Where do we start with this? Because we want to have a pretty good conversation with you tonight. Like, we want to go all the way back to the beginning and develop you into the character that people see today.
What was little Jeff like?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a whole deal, isn't it?
Right? So let's start with you and motorcycles. Where do you come into motorcycles?
I grew up pretty much in BMX and mountain bikes and road bikes and that kind of stuff. Got my mitts on a Harley when I was, I think, 19. I had Vespas before that and Lambrettas, and ended up getting a deal on a Shovelhead, and was just kind of amazed at how easy they were to work on, and how I could, it was a Shovelhead, so it broke all the time.
Right.
But just kind of doing it that way and learning, and wasn't really a per se like a chopper guy or anything kind of a biker guy. I was more of just a BMX punk rock kid that kind of found his way into Harleys.
Now, this is something that I said to Ken real quick tonight, but when we were talking about, in the pre-show, one of the things I love most about looking through your stuff is you really get a sense of who you are from your social media feed, and like, especially you just mentioned the punk rock BMX kid. Dude, you post some of the baddest ass BMXs from our childhood, like the BMX bikes that everybody wished they had,
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got into kind of building, collecting these pretty rare bikes. I mean, they're like, now, some of the stuff I'm building is like knucklehead money.
Yeah.
I've got, thousands of dollars wrapped into some things that, I could never afford as a kid, and we were poor. I mean, I make fun of it, man, but like, we bounced food stamps. We were so poor, and I never really had anything until, a buddy of mine gave me a good bike and I started racing, and then people actually started sponsoring me, but I was never really that good. I mean, I learned that I could, I had buddies that were AA pro and single A pro, but I realized I could work on their bikes better than they could when their bikes needed tuning up or to get race prepped. And that's kind of when I started working in bike shops as a young teenager, and, still poor. But, I've always, aspired to have those bikes. And I mean, it's like anything else, weird hobbies that people have that they spend way too much money on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of those things that we were talking about before you came on was kind of that mentorship, and I'm imagining that you probably had some of that in terms of the BMX side. Did you have any of that in the motorcycle side?
There was a couple old bikers. There was actually this tattoo shop that was about a mile and a half from my house, and there was just bikers in and out of there, and a bar called the Sherwood Inn and the Lynbrook Inn. And I would just kind of go over there, ride my BMX bike over there. My buddy Mike lived over by there, and we just kind of hang out and talk to these guys when I was young. And once I got older, it just kind of, I would go to small shops or my dad's friends or other people like that knew things about Harleys.
Cool.
But I pretty much figured it out on my own.
Nice. That seems to be a good way to go. So you did mention, and we kind of glossed right over it, but I'm sure people are wondering, Vespas and Lambrettas to Harleys?
Yeah.
That's a big leap.
It's a big jump for a lot of guys, but I mean, when we were kids, in the 80s, like the mod scene was huge in Orange County. And, you would go, okay, I'll tell you guys the truth. Like, there used to be this movie theater that would play Quadrophenia once a month, and we would go over there and steal Vespas and Lambrettas, right, and then part them out.
Right on.
And they were the easiest things to steal, and they were, to tell you the truth, man, you get on like a Malossi kitted, Jet 200, they're still one of the most fun things to ride that's motorized on two wheels. They're fast as hell. They're two-stroke. They stink. They make a bunch of noise, and they're horrible over 50 miles an hour.
Hey, and not for nothing, but wasn't it Librettas that Russ Mitchell got started on?
Yes.
So, like, before he was in the United States and Exile Cycles and making
and he was a male model. Yeah.
He was building wicked ass Libretta scooters, though. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, he was building tons of chopped, long bike Lambrettas and Vespas. Man, he built some really cool stuff.
That's cool. That's such a great. I mean, it's such a great kind of way for somebody who doesn't have a ton of money to get into it. You don't really see a lot of that anymore. Those mini choppers and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I know tons of guys that were 15, 16 years old, and that's what they built, was like those little mini choppers and stuff.
Right.
It's a good entry point.
And I mean, we got a bunch of super hot girls in pencil skirts and berets from having those bikes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, in your work in media, where do you find your way into media?
I worked for bicycle companies and bike shops like for 20 years. Going into this, from the time I was 12 years old, I worked at sweeping the floors of a bicycle shop, then managed one, then co-owned one, and then I moved up to San Francisco, and then for a year and a half, and then I ended up moving up to Portland, Oregon. And I didn't have a job. I didn't really know anybody there except one guy who owned a bike shop. And so I ended up calling all these people I knew at companies and becoming an independent sales rep up there. And then from that, ended up selling a bunch of stuff and knowing people on that other end, the non-retail end. And then from then, I moved back down south to LA again and started my own marketing company in bicycles, mostly bicycles, action sports, when that shit was hot. And a buddy of mine always kind of was a bike guy. His name was Courtney Hallowell. I'm sure you guys know who he was.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He was the editor-in-chief of Hot Bike and Baggers and Street Chopper before.
Man,
I was there.
I miss him. I really do.
Yeah, I miss him too. I mean, that guy got me into it. He read my press releases. He knew I could take all right photos. He knew I could write halfway good, and he knew I knew how to work on Harleys fairly well. And nobody else on the staff even worked on bikes except for Courtney. And he was a tinkerer. And so he brought me in to be like more of a tech guy. And of course I was brought in for Street Chopper. And then 2 weeks later, Baggers went full force, and he was like, "Hey man, we got to do Baggers now." And I was like, "What the fuck? I never had a bagger. Nothing I had weighed more than, 600-pound shovel head." I was like, "What the hell is this?" But by that time my kid was born, and he needed, a steady job and health insurance and all the other trappings of the white collar white man.
Yeah.
And by that time I was already hooked, and I was like, okay, this bagger thing. A funny story about that is the first time we did a photo shoot, Courtney's like Mr. Camera guy. So he's like, okay, take this Ultra, go up the road, turn around and come back. And it was like a little narrow, not even a 2-lane highway. And I get the thing right around the corner and out of his sight, turned a hairpin and dumped the bike.
No.
And I was like,
That's
oh,
great.
and it was a Harley owned brand new 6, Ultra.
Dude.
And I was so scared that I was going to get fired and so like freaked out that I lifted the bike up like nothing and sweating bullets. And I came back down, didn't tell him at the end. I was like, look, man, I dumped this thing and, I didn't even look to see the bags, but it was an Ultra, and had crash bars all over and everything else. But yeah, it was my first day working on Baggers magazine.
Classic.
Oh, Jesus.
And then, from there, I was, when Courtney, split, I was the editor of Baggers, and then I was the editor of Street Chopper, and then I became the editor of Hot Bike, and then, the editor-in-chief of those, and then the editorial director of those, then the brand director of those, and, then everything kind of hit the skids.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, like, seriously, as far as new media and the stuff that's relevant in this day and age, you really set the pace. The stuff that I think there's quite a few many people, if they were going to be honest, would say that you've taught a bunch of us how to interact with media in this new age. So we're watching you.
I appreciate that, but I didn't do it by myself. There's people that helped me out along the way, and I mean, if I'm going to call out one person in the world, it's Ed Subius. That guy was my. If I was Batman, he was Robin. Like, he was there by my side the whole time, and we for the last 4 years I was with that dude, and upper management at Hot Bike and Bonnier, they didn't really have a clue of what was going on with social media, and especially Instagram, which is huge on the end user part of it, but internally at a $1 billion corporation, and you can't track it monetarily, they didn't really give a shit about it.
Yeah.
So we we champion that for the books, and I mean, Ed and I were instrumental. Those magazines all have over 1 million likes on the Facebook, and over 100 and some on the other ones, but like, we just were giving people good content, and we were just a bit ahead of the curve where we weren't weird.
Yeah.
We were way into, he was way into the tracker thing, and, we were way into the Dyna and FXR thing, and now performance stuff. We really, the past year with, Hot Bike before my departure, we were really focusing on that, and that's kind of where the name V-Twin Visionary kind of popped out, what I'm doing now.
Yeah, let's talk about that for the people that don't know. So your new vision.
Yeah, I tell people this V-Twin, I'm not the V-Twin Visionary. Like, what I'm doing for it's kind of a 3-sided thing. Like, of course, I'm starting up a new media circus, and I'll have a website, and social media, and I'm planning on doing 1 or 2 events, and I'm planning on doing like an annual hardcover book. Like, yeah, that's all fine and well, because that's what I know how to do, because I did, these previous books. But also, the whole thing is I'm kind of holding, like I did before, I'm holding a mirror up to what's going on in motorcycles and what I think is going on next. And, that was great with the old stuff, with these magazines that were around for 40 and 50 years. But like, the V-Twin Visionary thing's really focused on, the media side is really going to be focused less on bikes that are finished and more on the people that are building them, painting them, putting them together, running bike shops, it's more about that and less about, hey, this is this guy's final build, or this is what this guy did, or wheelies or burnouts. I mean, yeah, there'll be some of that stuff in there too. And then the other half is, the PR thing I'm doing with some companies, and, marketing and helping, some companies that maybe, and people that don't have a firm grip on what's going on technology wise today, as far as getting the word out and getting people to see their products. People that have great products, that need a little push from, guys like us.
Right on.
Nice.
Ken's been doing that for how many damn years? Ken, I've known you for a decade now, and you've been doing that all the while, And, you know,
it's been
Chris,
15
you
years, I believe. It certainly wasn't what I intended to do.
No, and I mean, me either, you know, the day, you know, I kind of stepped out of hot bike land, you know, like, shit, what am I going to do? And, you know, my girlfriend Maggie's like, well, why don't you not do anything for a month? Like, don't accept calls, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, you know, and it's funny, you know, like, when I got a new phone, I had the choice to port my phone over and this and that. And once I got the third, hey, man, sorry you lost your job, but is my bike still going to be in the magazine? I decided, fuck it, I'm going to change my phone number. So when I did that, I drew a line in the sand professionally and whatever. And to tell you the truth, you know, by the end of that month, you know, some people were calling me and talking to me about doing stuff. But, like, you know, Chris, like when I saw you in Ohio, you know, you're like, what are you going to do? And I was like, no. You know, and it was pretty funny for a guy that's, you know, been working, you know, 10 hours a day for a decade, you know.
Constantly
and,
doing.
You know, I mean, and I mean, you know, Chris, even though it wasn't, you know, my baby, you know, I felt like it was an adopted child of mine, you know.
I think,
you know, with you, it's your baby. You know,
but you know what,
creation.
man? I think in that respect, like you're different than a lot of the other guys that have a position at magazines or media outlets. I think really what you did with Hot Bike and your tenure with it, I think it became you. I think a lot of the people in the culture today associate that with you. I really do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Better than I mean, you know, as much as I loved Ed, and as much as I knew a few of the editors in my time in publishing, and I think you really captured that. You really made it about your personality and your time at the lead. So
yeah, there was no separation. I mean, you know, that was kind of the deal. Like it was my deal, and you know, that was it.
Well, what's so strange with that is, and I come across, you know, this a lot with my business, is that we end up, because of who we are, you know, Jeff, we end up becoming, even though we're working with these people, they end up becoming friends, right? I mean, that's the piece that I think is really different about, and maybe it's not different about our industry, but I feel like it is. I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, when I stop, you know, maybe I stop working with somebody, that doesn't mean that we're not friends still, you know, like I still end up, you know, we still end up hanging out together and seeing each other, and, you know, maybe we end up working together again, maybe we don't. It doesn't really matter, because that's not really what it's about. It's about having those relationships and having, you know, those times with those people that we can kind of timestamp in our head and go, oh, wow, that was, you know, that moment in time. Yeah. And I'm sure you've got a ton of
I agree. Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of the way it is, and you know, like you guys know this, man. Well, your job is everybody else's hobby or everybody else's fun weekend.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you know, everything wraps itself around the party, and you know, either you got to be in or you got to be out. You know, that's kind of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's rough too. It's rough making that separation of, you know, identity. I mean, as much as you say, you know, Cycle Source is my baby, and, you know, I live this 24/7, but there's some days where it's like, man, look, just for 2 minutes, I want to be Chris, the bass player. Just, you know, let me take a break from the magazine just for 2 minutes, you know.
I know. It's a job, dude. You know, it's a hard thing to separate, and especially, you know, when it is your life. You know, these people that, you know, go to work and come home and, you know, they leave their factory job or the job they bust their ass at, you know, they leave their job, they just hang it up. You know, somebody's not calling them on their phone, somebody's not DMing them, somebody's not, you know, if their boss calls them, they're not going to pick up the phone. You know, and that's a damn luxury sometimes. But you know, all in all, you know, it's not really, it doesn't pay the bills for us. You know, you got to be on.
Correct. Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, it really is 24/7. And, you know, Chris and I'm sure you're the same way, Jeff. Like, I don't know how to turn it off. You know, like I've talked to all sorts of business gurus, and they're like, oh, I only answer my emails from 10 until 2 on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have any clients if I did.
Well, you know
that.
what I always ask those guys? What's your old lady do?
I wouldn't have any, I mean, I wouldn't have any content. Nobody would. Like, you can't turn it off. Nor I think, you know, us three or a large margin of other people working in the industry would either, because this industry is a labor of love first and foremost. Just like the bicycle industry, just like the skateboard industry, we have toys. This is a toy industry.
Yeah.
People call it lifestyle. Yeah, people call it this. Yeah, people call it that. But, you don't need a Harley Davidson to live your life.
Yeah.
You don't, it's not, it's not a house or medical gear or anything else like that. It's a toy. But yet,
sure.
I live or die by that damn thing.
Yep.
Definitely. Hey, I want to do something a little weird. I'm going to throw a wrench in the in the whole thing, Chris.
Go ahead.
I want to talk to Jeff, and I want to find out about his opinion on S&S releasing a brand new exhaust for Dynas.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up while we're talking
Jeff,
about it.
Just to kind of clue you in on it. So, I don't know if you saw this press release or not, but it just came out that S&S just launched these new exhaust for Dynas.
Right.
And I just scratched my head a little bit. And I kind of have, Chris and I kind of have our theories about it, but I guess I'm kind of wondering what your take on that is.
Well, I mean, this whole Dyna thing, I hate to say, I don't like saying, I started this gangster shit, but like a lot of it, fell on Hot Bike. There was never a dude with Dyna on the cover of a magazine at 12 o'clock before I did it. There was no panel painted FXRs on the cover of magazines before I did it. There was no, super high performance ass bikes, with cafe fairings on the magazines before I did it. And, that was 3 years ago when we did it. And, 4 years ago and to see it where it is now is awesome. And there's the thing about Dynas is even if they're super hillbillied out or super gangstered out or choloed out here and there, like that, the Dyna is such a big, they've made so many of those fucking bikes, man, that kids are getting them cheap and making them right. So, you could put a ton of stuff on them and make them badass no matter what time, no matter when you got into the scene, if you were the first guy in or the guy that got in yesterday.
Well, I think therein lies where the question is, and what the conversation Ken and I were having is, why now? Does this make sense now for a company to come out with, new products to the market for a motorcycle that's kind of on hold? Only speaking from the retail end of new motorcycles.
Right.
Well, and the fact they're $1,000.
Yeah.
Right. Aftermarket.
I mean, the exhaust is $1,000.
Right. I mean, you can get, you can spend a little more and have, Pat at Royalty Racing make you one, or Sawicki, or, I think even, like Jay at Fab 28 makes you a custom exhaust for a little tiny bit more than that. I mean, I would go with, American made custom first, and then American made, like, production, like, Two Brothers, S&S Bassani second, and then, whatever else. But I mean, yeah, S&S is trying to make their mark again. You got to remember these dudes were, they're out in this ranch in the middle of nowhere, and they were kind of chasing their tails and not doing anything until they hired Dave Zemla.
Yeah.
And that guy has done phenomenal things for that brand, and to see Savannah going across the country taking photos and kind of being their thing, and they're doing monumental things over there. But I mean, they have to Me Too it as well. They see how many of those exhausts are going out the door, at drag or this or that, and they want to get on board trying to get that too.
Well, and
so,
see,
I mean, that's
my whole take on this, going back to Ken, was regardless of whether or not Harley has a Dyna model in production right now, there are a shitload of these bikes that are out there. Like I absolutely see S&S's philosophy in coming out with products for that specific model. It's a question of, is the customer that's within that demographic an eligible consumer for products at this point, at this price point.
So the other piece that I never really thought about until just a few years ago was a lot of times it seems like there's, those really super popular products, are on back order, right? So whoever it is
Right.
that has it, let's just say, XYZ exhaust company has, 100 sets of Dyna exhausts on back order with drag. They see that as an opportunity. I
Oh,
guarantee
absolutely.
you that drag or whoever it is, that SNS works with goes, hey, you know what's selling really well? This. And they go, oh, really? Would you
Yep.
take those if we made them? Sure, we would, and,
Right.
it's really obvious that, the new head of SNS, he comes from Vance and Hines, he knows exhaust. And that is,
Right.
it makes sense. I mean, I helped them, when they started kind of launching that exhaust line. I mean, they had everything, and they had some exhaust at that point, but they had everything up to that point except exhaust and the performance side. So it makes sense, but I just, it's just an interesting thing, with everything that's going on right now in the industry, and the M8s and all that stuff. It's like they come out with a Dyna exhaust.
Yeah, I think. Well, I know that Dyna exhaust has kind of been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They've had, and they've, the older dudes, they're like, well, 2-in-1s don't work as good as a 2-in-2 that we've sold, so we're not going to sell a 2-in-1.
Uh-huh.
And now I think they're like, well, we finally made one that performs just as well, so let's get it out there. And I think a lot of people will buy, okay, I've got SNS cams and I've got heads, and I get a 110 kit, and I know without a doubt that this SNS exhaust is going to work with this stuff. It's been tested with it. So I mean, that is also adds a lot of validity to that product as well.
Makes sense.
Well, and I'll tell you
That's
what,
why
too.
I'm glad we asked you about this.
I think Jeff also just helped me realize what a old chopper bastard I am, because for my age group, when I sit there and think, geez, like $1,000 for an exhaust, but when you talk about the guys that are out there making, these custom one-offs exhaust for you, or even buying like the stainless parts and pieces to put a real performance exhaust together, you're not that far ahead to not just get a good quality product from a company like SNS.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
it's going to work. SNS doesn't have shitty products. So I mean, that's kind of where I see it on my end. But you look at Nick Trask's beautiful new exhaust for Dynas, and like I said, the Royalty Racing pipe, which I think is one of the nicest, and you can put a stack of badass stainless steel exhausts above that aspirational type stuff compared to okay, I'm going to spend a G and it's going to work.
Yeah.
These guys have dynos, these guys have flow meters. A lot of these dudes with garages, they're just kind of figuring it out. They'll get these pipes together and then take it to their buddy's dyno and then say, okay, yeah, it makes this. There's a big step between somebody like Bassani and SNS and a lot of the other guys below.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and that brings us full circle back around to talking to you and about, where media comes from for you, because SNS, obviously the history of the company and, where their performance knowledge and abilities come from are real people who are doing real shit.
Agreed.
As I'm going through the pictures here, all of your time at Hot Bike or, whatever other positions you held in the company, there's always you in the garage, you on a motorcycle, you out on a trip. So I think that same thing, like that is the inherent part of what you take with you to V-Twin Visionary, whatever your main mission statement is going to be for that, is the fact that you're in the garage and you're doing this stuff. There's nothing that replaces a true knowledge of a product than a person that has their hands on it and is putting it to use.
Agreed. I'm not the baddest ass motorcycle rider, and I'm definitely not, the best bike builder or, assembler or anything else. But, I like to think I'm a little bit above, the next guy who wants that knowledge passed down. And then there's a guy below him and a guy below him and a guy below him. Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where I've always been. I'm the layman, dude. I never went to tech school. I never did anything, dude. I barely got out of fucking high school. Like, I've always used my hands, whether it was in the bicycle shop or bolting on exhausts or working on cars or anything else. And, it comes from not having money to pay somebody else to do it. And, you know, that's kind of where all three of us have been, you know, and we all have that punk rock or, you know, heavy metal DIY work ethic, you know, or else we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We would just be, you know, getting shot up at YouTube today or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, just living some stupid job where, you know, you're at a holiday party and some weirdo comes in and gets you.
Yep. Yeah, buddy, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it.
I wouldn't either. Hey, so talking about building bikes, we heard you're building a bike for the Lichter exhibit this year. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm building a couple bikes with help. The Lichter bike is pretty much more of a Lego bike. I'm taking an old bike I've had. This bike has been like, it's kind of the equivalent of the puppy mill female dog with those saggy titties that is like it's been like had like 4 or 5 litters and it's back in the corner all timid. It's a 2012 Harley Road Glide, and I built this thing first with a 21, and you know, kind of, mind you, it was 2012, and then put a Pro Charger on it and made it 200 horsepower with a 110 Harley motor kit. And then I had the great idea that I was going to put a raked front end on it with a 23. So now the bike is completely fucking worthless because it doesn't handle worth a shit and it's got 200 horsepower. So this bike, you know, like
big
I said,
saggy titties.
I'm glad you got a name for it. Saggy titties. That's going to be
right.
Good.
Dude, it's a 2012. It's got less than 700 miles on it because it's spent more time getting torn apart and put back together than anything else. It's had, you know, a million different, you know, fenders and bags, and you know, now what I'm doing is luckily Chris at Epic Moto Code does that really cool kit now where you unbag your bagger and make it into like a big FXR, and he's actually sponsoring me on this build. And so Jad from Jade Affiliate is doing the wheels, and I'm doing some pretty crazy things on it. You know, it's going to be a performance unbagged naked bagger, or whatever you want to call it. I call it an unbagged tracker. It's kind of a weird thing. Like, I don't like really, me being a guy that doesn't like mixing genres. This thing's going to be kind of all over the place, but it's going to have a 49 millimeter Dyna front end on it with top line tubes and the GP cartridge kit, and it'll have, you know, Chris does some piggyback shocks now, Epic Mode piggybacks, and it'll be all stripped down. I mean, if you want to check out if you want your readers or to get people online to check it out, it's epicmoto.com, and the bikes are pretty cool. I mean, his bikes, you know, him and his girlfriend Kelly's bikes are all pretty flashy, but this bike's going to be down and dirty and more moto. It'll have TKC Continental 80 knobby tires on it, and they make Epic makes these wheels that look just like Skyway Tough wheels. So I'm going to do one of those on the front 19, and I'm doing a 17-inch just a blank wheel, so it won't be cut, and it'll have like a tracker number plate covering up all the where the nacelle went. So I'm taking off the fairing, and Behringer's helping me out with brakes, and you know, the bike will be really cool, and the thing is, it's going to be fast as fuck, and it's going to handle super good. So I'm going to redeem that poor Road Glide and make it into something good.
Well, listen, this may be the year to drag you along to Bonneville too. Then we should all do this. We should do the group trip to Bonneville in 2018.
Dude, I mean, right. I would love to go back. I had super bad luck when I was there the 2 years. You know, I blew that knucklehead up that I built. You know, spent $11,000 on the motor and blew that motor up within 4 miles.
Oh my God!
And then next year went back, and with S&S they gave me a knucklehead to run, and that bike never was even completed. You know, Chris and I, LA Speed Shop, you know, we did it, but once we got on the salt, wouldn't run, but barely passed inspection. Like, Bonneville is a bear, you know, but I'd love to go back with something.
Right on.
I mean, maybe I would even take that bike, and I'm building that Milwaukee 8 FXR.
Yeah. Talk about that for a minute, dude. I got a picture of you standing. With that. I was super impressed with the speed that you brought this out.
Well, it was a hard thing. Like, I talked to Harley last year, when I was gainfully employed by Hot Bike, and they were all down for it. I literally had to leapfrog all the middle marketing fools and talk to the head of marketing for Harley, and he was all down for it. So they pretty much sent us the whole drive line out of brand new 2018 Road King. And what we did is a good friend of mine, Danny Wilson, who's known as Motor Witch out of Phoenix, Arizona. He's kind of the lead on the project. And then the guys from Chris and Justin from FXR Division have been helping fab the frame. And that's been, it's definitely not like putting a twin cam in an FXR where you just cut the bember out or you buy a new tranny pan. This thing is, there's not going to be too many of them because it's a total reconstruction. You might as well start from the beginning on the frame. Maybe if Rolling Thunder or Chopper Guys makes one where you can just drop one in, there'll be a few. But man, this thing it's been fighting us, and it's been a bear. We're going to actually have it out at Buddy Stubbs Harley Davidson. I don't know if it's going to be a roller or not during Arizona Bike Week, so you might want to stop by that shop and see it. But yeah, it's been crazy, and we're using the full wiring harness. It'll all be canvas. We're using their controls. I'm also using Behringer brakes on it as well. And I'm really trying to keep it so when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that's an FXRP. But then you really look at it and they're like, well, it's Milwaukee 8 and it's this, that. It has, so we're really trying to keep that. But I mean, there's going to be some, I don't know if we're going to have the bike, I don't know if the finished bike will be at Born Free, but the bike will be at Born Free as well, so you can see it there. But the big deal is it will be at Sturgis, and it will be on the Hot Bike Tour. Danny actually is building it for the Hot Bike Tour.
Right on.
His entry in. So it's supposed to be, Taylor Schultz is going to paint it, and
right on.
So I'm super excited about that, and we're going to keep it looking like a cop bike. So it'll have some flares to be custom, but once you see it rolling down the street, it'll be a cop bike with red and blue lights and a couple other red and blue anodized parts on it. But all in all, It's going to be a crazy machine.
Right
Sweet. And a 23-inch front wheel, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. 30. No, we're staying 1916 on that, and actually,
there you go.
Jade Affiliated is building the wheels for that too. So,
nice.
So let's do some let's do some looking into the crystal ball of the motorcycle world, because somebody that's involved as deep as you are on the boots on the ground level, we like to get your opinion for some of this stuff. Where are we going? Let's talk about winners and losers and what's coming. What's next?
Harley's not having such a great time moving these Softails, even though they ride great. They look pretty damn good, but I think that's really going to be changing over the next year. I think they're kind of holding their asses tight because they're not moving. Baggers and Sportsters, of course, are moving, but the new Softail's kind of stagnant. But like I said, that'll be moving. Mom and pop and dudes in their 40s up are buying baggers. And a lot of dudes are just going to keep them stock and change the tires and lubes, and that's it. And a lot of dudes are doing performance baggers, because there's no more Dyna, and if you want a bike that you can put your old lady on or put all your shit in, then sure, a new Milwaukee 8 bagger is great, but
I have some reservations, and like I said, I'm an old chopper bastard, so it may just be my age group, but I have some reservations about the performance bagger thing, because honest to God, like, the price tag of those components is so fucking expensive, man. Like, of the 4 or 5 guys I know that are really, really putting out, a lot of product for that, I go and check their shit out, man. It's so expensive.
Yeah. Well, I think that, that's you're always going to start with that. I mean, you remember the times when every chopper was 150 grand, like Forget and all that stuff. And then you have your companies coming in with Asian built, or offshore built, Me Too kind of performance products. And I think that will kind of, that's going to take the place in maybe, 16 or 24 months. Everybody will be able to buy like a badass chain kit,
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's going to be able to buy, you know, knockoff shit. Of course, you know, Dale at Mad Jap or the other dudes aren't going to be too happy about that, but that's just the way this business works. You know, like, you know, whatever distributor is just going to go make it themselves, or they'll have Burley or somebody make them, you know,
right.
And that's just kind of the way it'll be. So, I mean, there is a trickle down, but yeah, I mean, being on the forefront of this stuff and putting $5,000 front ends and $3,000 shocks and, you know, all that stuff on there, it's definitely, it's aspirational, and it's pretty far out for guys to do. You know, a guy that has a kid who's in their 20s or 30s and has to work a job and has to have a truck, and, you know, that's going to be hard for him. But I mean, that's just like choppers, you know, that's kind of just the way it was to get to, you know, West Coast choppers to, you know, Born Free bikes.
Well, and you know, that's really what I was talking about too, is the age group, man. Because even myself, you know, Heather and I, our daughter's off to college, our mortgage is almost paid off, so I'm a pretty eligible consumer. And when we just did the War Pony, you know, rather than go for that Öhlins front end and, you know, grab up a bunch of performance bagger parts, I got on Craigslist and I got a $600 GSXR front end, you know, and I pieced together stuff. And I mean, that comes from building choppers and being broke as a joke and shit. But I can't imagine, you know, the younger people than me, the next generation down, the younger millennials, I can't imagine them being in a position where a $5,000 front end is going to make sense. You know, am I really getting to the age group where I'm that far removed from it?
Yes.
No, I mean, I think that, you know, you know, I really think that also, you know, the bottom line being is, you know, there's always going to be rich dudes with rad shit, and there's always going to be poor dudes. There's always going to be poor dudes parting together badass bikes that are going to outperform those dudes, you know, and that's choppers, you know, Dynas, FXRs, like, you know, to see the jump from these kids were all, you know, dirt bike, BMX bike, dirt bike, Sportster, Dyna. Now there's no Sportster. Like, they just jump right into Dynas because there's so many of them. They're so cheap. But if you look at early 2000s baggers, you know, they're pretty good. And, you know, you get the wobble out of them, and you can put, you know, like a Race Tech gold valve kit in the front and a nice pair of shocks in the back and tune it right. And you can have a bike that keeps up with no matter how crazy of a new Milwaukee 8 bagger there is for $12,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't have to do all these crazy conversions. And I mean, to tell you the truth, you know, Öhlins can't build forks fast enough. Racetech can't build their suspension fast enough. Like, now the suspension thing is so saturated, you know, it's crazy. You know, you got those badass Italian ODC forks, you know, you know, you got a bunch of cool stuff out. But yeah, I mean, the price tag on some of that stuff is pretty crazy. But, you know, what are you gonna do? You can sell your dirt bike for $4,000 and then put a front end on it. You know, figure what you want. You know, live at your parents' house for a year and build your bike. You know, if you're young.
That's awesome.
Well, and it might not be that demographic, Chris. You know, it might be the older demographic, you know, the guy, you know, kind of the generation just above us, you know, that maybe wants that, you know, maybe they realize like, hey, 23-inch front wheel, not my thing. You know, I want to be able to get some performance out of it. And so instead of, you know, raking my bike and, you know, putting long bags on it or whatever, like, I'm going to go spend the money on something that'll actually make a difference in the way it rides.
Well, and I really like Jeff's perspective too, is there's always going to be rich guys with high-end shit, and there's always going to be guys that are broke as a joke that, you know, are making magic happen, because doesn't matter what platform you're talking about. That is how it's always been. And that even goes back to bicycles.
There's always going to be people that are going to sell their left nut for rad shit and eat ramen for the rest of the fucking month. You know, I know a ton of dudes like that. You know what I mean? Dudes that can't, you know, dudes that, you know, live, you know, 10 to a house and where they moved out of state so they can, you know, do construction and live comfortably and have extra money, you know, not stuck in California or, you know, some major cities spending, you know, $4,000 a month in mortgage or rent.
Yeah, for sure.
So in other winners and losers, real quick, you think there's a bubble waiting for Indian?
I'll say, I joke about this to people, and Indian's probably not going to be so happy I'm saying this, but I mean, and I'll preface this with, I've ridden every model extensively. They all ride great. The motors are amazing. The looks on them aren't all that great, but Indian, it wouldn't be Indian if it wasn't for us being in, Afghanistan and Iraq and the United States government buying up armored razors by the hundred.
Yeah.
Like their defense contract is, that's things that's supporting them.
That's something strong to talk about. That is something strong to talk about.
Sure. But Indians know that they're going to have to live a little lean, but their market share is increasing, even though their market share was 0 to 12% or whatever. Not even that, But, the whole deal being is I see a lot of them around now, man. And it used to be when I'd see them, I knew who the hell was riding it.
Right.
Oh, it was a magazine guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, somebody from Indian. Oh, And now, it's not that way.
Yep.
And like I said, Polaris got way more of a dick to swing than Harley Davidson does. They got, they're invested in a lot of things, and I think that, they're not, they like to fuck with Harley a lot, but they know that, Harley sells more white street glides than all of Indians put together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's, I'm not even talking about the black street glide, so I don't think, that there's no rise and fall of Indian. And I think that with them folding in, Victory and kind of circling the wagons with that, they're in it for the long haul. And I believe, and most of me hopes that they're going to be around fucking forever now.
Yeah, me too. I actually enjoy we call it the 100-year war all the time. I actually enjoy that that's back for flat tracking, for the consumer, for all of it. It's a more interesting culture with both sides of that coin.
Definitely.
I agree. And to see the Scout and, what that's become, and even the Scout Bobber. I mean, and everybody tells me, well, they're ugly. Well, here's the deal, man. S3 wouldn't have a job if all these bikes were badass out of the factory.
Yeah.
As soon as I look at a Harley, I can't wait to tear half the shit off of it. Same thing as an Indian. Same thing as every car I drive. So, that's just the person I am. Like, everything has to be customized.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So on one last note, and as a kind of a sign in the times, just to get your reaction, how about Carl's Speed Shop closing, dude?
Yeah, man.
I mean, crazy.
I tell my daughter this. I say, Rosie, nothing lasts forever except my love for you. And I'm talking about professional. I'm talking about jobs. I'm talking about lifespans. It's a hard thing to run a business in the United States, especially with the IRS with their hand up their ass your whole time, and then you have to deal with the city who's always trying to fuck with you on your zoning, or if you have proper this or that. Like trying to own a business in the U.S. unless it's some corporation that gets all these tax breaks is it's the hardest thing you could ever do, Chris. You know that.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a brick and mortar where you have to deal with OSHA, you have to deal with, getting your oil dumped, you have to deal with, and I think, Carl's Speed Shop, I mean, geez, man, the dude, he ain't a young chicken, he ain't spring boy. And it's hard to, and
it's just one of those things you always think that's going to be around, you year after year swinging past it on Beach Street in Daytona and just think that, it was an institution,
now finding out that Beach Street is going to be no longer,
right.
And that it's just going to be a 10-story, whatever it is, law complex or whatever. And that was part of the deal. That was what they signed off on was, the only way we're going to do that is if you get all those dirty bikers out of here. And so I'm sure they knew about that and they said, man, now's our time. Let's vacate, So I went in there, during Daytona and paid homage to it. So
that's sad.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Well, listen, one more time, tell everybody where they can keep track of you on social media, the rest of it, what your website is.
Yeah, it's, at JeffGHolt.com or at JeffGHolt, hashtag JeffGHolt, hashtag V-Twin Visionary, at V-Twin Visionary, and the website, I'm working on it right now, so it'll be up. These things take forever, and I'm trying to cram it with so much content that you can't get to the end of the rainbow and not ever want to get on the site again. So that'll be up probably in May, early May. So with all these shows and everything going on out here, the first part of the year, it's hard programming. I'm learning so much how to put a website together. But yeah, V-Twin Visionary on Instagram and Jeff G. Holt on Instagram. You'll know everything about me there.
Well, we'll keep everybody posted,
Cool.
Both on here through our social media and in the magazine. We'll keep everybody posted about where you're at and what you're doing. But, anytime.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime at all you feel like coming back and rapping with us for a half hour or so, we'd love to have you on. It's every time I personally have a talk with you, I'm better for it walking away.
Oh, thanks, man. And, I love you, dude. For a dude that started off being a sworn enemy of mine, we sure became fast and good friends,
Yeah.
It's really cool to see, and I consider you a brother, man. Like,
Absolutely.
you're an awesome dude, and I look up to you for doing this thing solo and keeping the ball rolling, man. Like, I can't pat you on the back and tell you how proud I am enough of you, dude, because
Nothing but love.
I know how fucking hard it is, dude, and I hope people do understand that doing this is a labor of love, and you're not getting rich, dude, and you and Heather just out there making it happen with that pretty ass dog of yours. Like, it's super cool, man. And
the poor
and
dog.
Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it, dude.
No, right on, brother. I love you too, and I'm looking forward to what you're doing next, because, like I said, a lot of us are learning from where you take this thing. So I sure am glad it's not to another industry or just checking out, because I don't think anybody here is done with you.
No, man, I ain't done with you all either.
Right on. Right
Thanks,
on.
guys.
Okay, brother.
Right on,
Thanks.
thanks. Later, Jeff.
So good. So good. Yeah, our goofy dog. So he's talking about how hot the dog is here. I'll have to put this up for you. She has started to costume the dog, Ken. This is the beginning of the end. Look.
Yeah, no, I saw it. The Easter thing. Bunny ears.
This is not even Easter. This is a new thing now. This is going to be her spring look. I can't get
see it.
Ridiculous. It's like butterfly ears or some shit. The dog already has a complex about an underbite, and I mean,
leave my dog alone. She's beautiful. She makes people happy.
That's
why we bring her. She's like truly therapy. She makes people happy. I don't care what kind of mood you're in. You could be the biggest, baddest, toughest biker out there, and they all stop and go, "Oh my God, can I play with your dog?"
Well, and dude, just like Jeff, making a comment about the dog. Every person that we talk to, 3 or 4 out of 10 will ask how Amelia's doing. Every single one of them asks about the dog.
Teach right now. He's asking about Nugget. He wants to know when Matt can have another date with her.
Because his dog is obsessed.
Yes.
All right, what do we got in social media?
Let's see. Teach is here, and Gary Hahn. Great show, Jeff. Thanks so much. Godspeed, Carl's Speed Shop.
Right on.
Oh no. Teach's talking about Teacher. You coming? Are you part of Passion Built? He says,
yes.
Damn, I'll just have a Sugar Bear Springer. That front end sounds space age. So Teach, it's true. Yeah. You'll be in Sturgis. I'm so excited.
How about it? We got to get Teach on as an interview too.
Yeah,
he's going to be passionate.
He already messaged me. He's down anytime. Sweet. We just need to let him know. Marilyn Stemp, she's been watching the whole time. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you for sharing this. We really appreciate it. She knows that Jeff has always been about the people as much as the machines.
Yep.
And Cheryl O'Brien, mail lady, she's gotten 2 awards for her bike. One from Chris at BMR and one from Jeff at the Hot Bike Tour. Thank you so much, guys.
Nice. Right on. I also saw Brian Carroll from Why We Ride is on, which is pretty
no
cool.
Kidding.
Oh, right on.
He's probably going to tell us about our production quality and how we can improve it.
That would be awesome.
Right, Brian?
We're accepting volunteers.
Right?
Yeah, since he makes real movies.
Yeah. Volunteers anytime. You're welcome. Come to Pittsburgh.
Listen, believe it or not, as well as we're doing with this right now, and it's, still of questionable production quality. Like, if you would have seen this when we started out, Jesus God.
Whoa, it has come a long way, Chris.
Yeah. I wanted to
swearing at the beginning of the show has decreased dramatically.
Right? I'm doing well with that.
Like Chris's blood pressure, if we had been able to take it early on as compared to now, Heather's a saint, first of all.
Dude, I wish we would have been recording some of that shit, because there was sometimes where the show wouldn't start for 45 minutes because I'd just be sitting at my console banging on shit like, I don't understand why you won't work, you son of a bitch.
And then he'd like,
can you hear me?
One little thing.
No, can you hear me? Are you kidding me?
It would be back and forth, and I'd be like, I can't hear you.
Oh God.
It was so bad.
I do think at some point when we get our crap a little less chaotic, we should maybe drop the curtain so people can actually see
that this is in our office.
Which, for those of you who don't know, our office is in the basement of our house.
I wish you wouldn't say
HQ.
basement. It sounds so dirty. You know what I mean? It sounds like we're making pornography down here.
Really?
It's in the basement.
Interesting that you'd go right to pornography.
Totally lost me.
Wow, both of you just totally outed me.
Ken, you're from my neck of the woods, so I think we're kind of stuck on the same boat with that.
The gimp. Anyway.
Both of you totally outed me.
Yeah, see? But people tend to think that Cycle Source and Greasing Gears and Shop Talk is this great big, whatever
production.
It is. And it's so not.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Do not pull down the veil.
Because, as soon as we take these headphones off, we're going to turn around, go 10 feet to our desks.
And start working.
And hopefully finish a magazine for tomorrow.
All right, well, speaking of that, let's quickly... If we can,
we got a couple things that we need to cruise through, and then
quickly blow through the news.
We're keeping people over time now.
I know, it's awesome. So I had to actually bring it back up because I had a little crash. But from RoadRacingWorld.com, Indian Motorcycle hires Ola Stenegard. I think I said that right. Director of Product Design. Yeah,
it's cool stuff. I think he helped with a design on the BMW R9T, which we had on the cover of Cycle Source last summer. I rode it at Gettysburg Bike Week. And it wasn't like the cover bike. It was just like a little tiny
picture. We're riding this bike. Dude, but it blew people's minds. Like, when I told some people in the industry, they were like, well, you're a chopper magazine. I'm like, dude, we just rode the R9T. Are you kidding me? And they're like, what? Right.
Huh? Yeah, the Urban GS, nonetheless. Anyways, this guy is a design wizard, but also has a huge passion for V-twin motorcycles. That's where his passion lies. So I think they are hoping to cultivate that in some new Indian models and styling. So I'm really curious to see kind of what they come out with. Because a lot of what they've come out with has been very, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's exactly what I thought it would be.
Yeah, predictable.
It's not, predictable. That's exactly the word I was looking for, predictable. And not that that's bad. I don't think that they need to make, space age bowling ball receivers or anything like that. But I think that I think there's an opportunity there to do some other styling cues and see what he comes up with. So
absolutely, I think that's cool. And I think a lot of companies are starting to do stuff like that. They're reaching out of their own comfort zone, whether it's other manufacturers or even other industries. Harley Davidson is a good example with like most of the lighting that's on the new M8s is the Softail line is the influence from out of the industry, out of the motorcycle industry, and they're starting to look for ways to reach beyond. So good on them. Good on them.
Sure.
So in other news, Dennis Kirk, our friends over at Dennis Kirk, have a really neat program going on called Garage Build it, share it. Just a kind of a neat thing, man, to get people sharing what they're doing in the garage. They're giving credit to, the unsung heroes, the garage builder. You submit your build, you get a shirt. It goes up here with a bunch of the other guys, view the builds. And they have contests from time to time that revolve. It's all around social media voting. who has the best build going on, and
I think they win like a $500 gift card and a feature in American Iron.
Yes, American Iron Garage. Our friends Buzz and the boys over at American Iron Garage are behind this. Super big kudos to Dennis Kirk, though, for giving support like this to guys on the ground level. So awesome program that they're doing.
Chris, you can't submit your bike.
I know. All of a sudden,
not a garage builder anymore.
Which is bullshit.
I don't know if I agree with that. Why are we not a garage builder anymore?
We're not garage builders. We're on the inside, kid. That's it.
Yeah.
But we buy our parts like everybody else.
When you get boxes of stuff delivered to you from Lowbrow.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I paid for that. Trust me, I paid for that.
Oh, okay.
You paid for it. So, we baby.
Excuse me.
You remember till death do us part, all that?
Well, I love how earlier she said my house.
I know.
She's like at the front of my house.
I'm on my way out of here, Ken.
And it's actually not my house.
I'm just starting to figure it out.
So yeah, no, technically, like I said, we buy our parts just like everybody else, and we build it in the garage. So why aren't we garage builders? I don't understand.
Because we get enough credit. God damn it, we're already all over everything.
Oh,
try that out. See how that works.
Peterson Museum to open Custom Revolution motorcycle exhibit on April 14th, and go. Okay.
No, I think it'll be cool. I'm hoping when I'm out in LA in May that I might be able to get out there and check it out. I've never been to the Peterson Motorcycle Museum. The thing that I think so interesting about it is I was reading through the bikes that were in there, and I'd never heard of anybody.
Yeah.
There were there were people here and there that I heard of, but there were a bunch of people I'm like, I don't know who these people are.
Uh-huh.
So I just thought it was interesting.
So what part of this does Penthouse have to do with?
What?
Here. To kick off this monumental display, the Peterson will host an opening reception with live entertainment, gourmet food, special cocktails served in the museum's penthouse. See?
Yeah,
I'm a little let down now.
Dude, I don't think that magazine even exists anymore, Chris. Does it?
Penthouse was awesome, dude. I was a regular contributor to Penthouse Forum, so let's just leave that alone.
Oh.
Wow, you guys are leaving me out there again on my own. This is such bullshit.
Well, now I'm thinking about, I wonder if I read some of the stuff that Chris
right. Okay, and this was kicking the hour off. This was my giant news story about Leesburg. All kind of good stuff going on at Leesburg Bike Fest. Including the Grease and Gears Garage.
Very excited about that.
Yeah, we're super. Daisy Duke contest. I've never been to a Daisy Duke contest. So
how do you go from Grease and Gears Garage to Daisy Duke contest?
Well, it's right here. One follows the other. Are you paying attention? There's visuals. There's going to be a test.
And that's for guys, right? Guys wearing Daisy Dukes?
I think Marilyn needs to be on the show because she has more information than we do. The Peterson exhibit is curated by Paul...
D'Orleans, yeah. From the Vintage Inn.
See,
there we go.
How many times have I told you Marilyn is a real journalist? That's why that's why I always looked up to her, because she has her shit together like we hope to someday.
I guess I knew that. It just didn't cross my mind. That's probably why I've never heard of any of the builders either.
And since Heather won't let me take everybody to Instagram to show them hipster proof, you guys are going to have to look that up on your own. It's definitely worth the time.
We will watch. I will look it up.
Entertaining.
I'm going to bring it up next week. I'm telling you. Hey, here's something. A couple events, real quick, if I can cut in. Definition of the Chopper show is coming up. This is a cool little show that we're helping out with a little bit. Merle's Inlet.
Rusty Nash. This is Rusty
Nash's event. That's coming up May 12th. Grassroots Chopper Show and Swap. Hit them up on Facebook to check that out. Also coming up in short order, actually within the next, couple weekends here, the Hand-Built Show, April 20th and 22nd. This is one of my favorite shows that goes on all year long now. This year, they're actually making kind of a neat twist. Like if you've been paying attention to Handbill over the years, there's been a lot of cafe and, you know, like mods and rocker stuff. And this year, the list of guys that they're inviting
seems
like,
very chopper oriented.
Yeah, super
almost.
chopper. Will Ramsey is going. Ryan Gore from Paper Street, which I think Ryan was there last year, right?
Yeah, that dude with the hat is there. Kyle Shorey from Shade Tree is going to be there.
But lot of chopper guys, a lot of chopper inspiration coming into hand built. So.
I kind of wish we were going this year. I'm not sure if we are because we have 2 builds to do, but
yeah.
Oh, actually, no, we're not.
And any excuse for you to go to Texas.
Yeah, and any excuse for me to go to Texas. Maybe I can go to Texas and do hand built while you do.
Let's not get carried away.
I think that's an outstanding idea.
That's a great idea.
But what?
You can sip martinis by the pool when you're not at the hand built show.
Yeah, that sounds
That'll be
good.
You and Nugget. I can already see it.
Yeah, right.
While we're on the topic of Indian motorcycles, this half hour, you have some products. I think we got a little video here to play while you.
I don't know if there's music. Hopefully, there's not me talking.
Let's see. I think it's just music.
Okay, you can probably take the music off because it's pretty awful. It just goes over and over and over and over and over again.
So what are we looking at here?
I don't know because I can't see it.
You're opening a box.
I'm opening a box. Oh, so there's the Indian one. So there are 3-4 different T-shirts in there from their line. One's got a little pocket in the front. I like that. That's always fun. The thing that's interesting about those is they have contrast thread on the back, like sewing. I don't know. It's a little different. But anyway, I really like the Wrecking Crew shirt. I wore that a bunch while I was down in Daytona. And then at the end, I believe, I pull out I'm probably behind the times on what you're watching.
Here comes a brown leather.
Okay, there's a big, so they sent me a jacket to test out while I was in Daytona. Leather jacket. It's got a fancy kind of quilted vest on the inside. I rode it several days down there. Kept me warm, kept me protected. It's got armor in it. I'm going to do a full review coming up here soon. So.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
And that's our man on the product scene, Ken Connie. Give it up on drums, Ken.
Yeah, all right. Stage 5, Jade.
What about... There you go. See? He's got my back. That's my boy.
Oh.
What about you, Lulabelle? You got any social media left for us?
Let's see.
What'd you just call her?
Lulabelle.
Yeah.
What?
Lulabelle.
I don't know.
Lulabelle.
I don't know where it came from.
That's a hillbilly thing.
It just came out one day and stuck for some reason. So Rebecca's going to be in Austin for me, and Marilyn votes for me to go to Austin for a girls' weekend during hand built.
With Marilyn.
Marilyn. Why not?
Because Marilyn knows too much about wine. She knows more about wine than she does motorcycles, and that's a lot.
But I am quite responsible.
You can be led into bad choices. Hence, I do.
Yeah, she married you. Jeez.
Oh. All right. What else?
That's it.
Wrap it up.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. George Peach is watching from Chino. And I don't know if I said your name right or not, George. Sorry. He's in SoCal. Sorry.
Anyway,
that's about it. I think I hit everybody else. Thank you all for watching.
Jason Sam's Ken, the guy, is on, which is cool.
I think they show up on different ones. They're showing up on yours, not on mine.
Ken's Factory.
Oh, right on.
Ken's Factory. Nope.
Right on.
So, some full bikes.
Well, cool. Sure. We're gonna get to Jason shortly here, right?
Jason Sims.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a couple weeks. He's going to be in Arizona. He was tied up tonight. He's going to be in Arizona Bike Week next week. So.
Right on.
We'll let him.
We'll have him on.
All right. Well, it's been well over 90 minutes, and you guys are probably sick of listening to us bullshit, so...
Sure.
I guess we're going to pull this son of a bitch back into the garage for another week.
You and your extraneous swearing.
I love to swear. I'm from Pittsburgh, man. I'm from Pittsburgh. It
He
was one of
can't
the
say
only
his
things.
name without it.
It was one of the only things that we could do for free around here when the steel mills all closed. You know what I mean? You could sit around, get drunk on shitty Iron City beer, and swear. And that was your God-given right as a Pittsburgh native.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Life is good.
All right, man. I guess for Ken and myself, thank you guys very much for tuning in for another week, and keep the shiny side up, as Mr. J. Allen says.
That's right.
Until next time, this is Chris.
And I'm Ken.
And we're out.
We're out.